Lower than expected inflation today. Let's get reaction now live from Melbourne. Here's the Treasurer.
To help deal with the cost of living pressures which are still there despite this really welcome and encouraging data that we are receiving today. Now, as you know, the Consumer Price Index further moderated to 4.1% in the year to the December quarter 2023, and that was down from 5.4% in the September quarter. The monthly CPI, which bounces around a bit more and can be a bit more volatile, moderated further to 3.4% in the 12 months to December 2023, which is down from 4.3% in November. Inflation is now at its lowest level in 2 years. Monthly inflation has a 3 in front of it for the first time since December 2021. As I said, the monthly numbers do bounce around a bit, but we're now seeing in the monthly figures almost half the 6.1% recorded in May 2022 at the time of the election. So inflation has come off really substantially since its peaks in 2022, but we need it to moderate further and even faster because we know that people are still under pressure. It is worth noting that today's figures are better than the market expected. Annual inflation moderated 1.3 percentage points in the December quarter. That's the fastest pace of moderation since annual inflation peaked at 7.8% in the December quarter of 2022. Inflation increased 0.6% in the quarter, less than a third of the quarterly peak reported in the March quarter 2022 before the election. So these are all of the ways that we know that we're making welcome and encouraging progress in this fight against inflation. But the reason the tax cuts are so important is because people still need relief from these cost of living pressures. Now, as I said before, one of the especially encouraging parts of the story told today by the Australian Bureau of Stats is that our cost of living plan, even before we get to our cost of living tax cuts for Middle Australia, is helping to directly reduce inflation in our economy. Our cost of living policies took 0.5 percentage point off inflation through the year to December quarter 2023. In the year to that quarter, electricity prices rose 6.9%. That would have been 18.9% without our energy plan. In the year to the December quarter 23, rents rose 7.3%, and that's still too high, but they would have risen by 8.9% without the biggest increase to rent assistance in 30 years, which we budgeted for in the May budget. In the year to the December quarter, childcare prices fell 7.2%. They would have gone up by 13% without our plan for cheaper early childhood education. Now, obviously, other factors that supported the moderation in annual headline inflation were moderating goods prices. We saw price falls recorded for furnishings and clothing and footwear. On top of this, as you know, we intend to provide a tax cut for every Australian taxpayer, but a bigger tax cut for Middle Australia to help with cost of living pressures which are still in our economy. Now, despite the challenges and the pressures coming at us from around the world and from around the country, whether it's global economic uncertainty or heavy weather, whether it is this inflation challenge and the impact of recent interest rate rises, we do face the period ahead from a position of genuine economic strength. If you think about 2024, what we're seeing here is inflation is slowing, real wages is growing, and from the 1st of July we will see tax cuts flowing. We've had 2 consecutive quarters of real wages growth. We're seeing welcome and encouraging moderation in inflation, and from the 1st of July every Australian taxpayer will get a tax cut, but 84% of Australians will get a bigger tax cut to deal with the cost of living pressures that we still see in our economy. This is not mission accomplished, but it's really welcome and it's really encouraging progress, and it shows why Labor's responsible economic management, including our cost of living tax cut for Middle Australia, has been and will be so important. Happy to take some questions.
Are you confident that interest rates won't rise
Oh, well, I don't make predictions or preempt decisions taken independently by the Reserve Bank. They will weigh up all of the data in the economy and come to a decision independently before long. My job is to make sure that we're getting the budget in better nick, that we're providing meaningful cost of living help, and that we are recognising and acknowledging and understanding and doing something about the cost of living pressures which are still in the economy despite this welcome and encouraging progress in the fight against inflation. And so it is really clear now, really beyond doubt, that Labor's cost of living plan is helping. Our responsible economic management is helping as well. And because of those things, and because we understand the pressures that people are still under, the tax cut from 1 July will be another way that we support the workers and families, the women and young people, the steel workers and early educators of this country.
Is this budget more scope to be more expansive of cost of living relief, given it might not be stoking the inflation fire as much?
I think responsible economic management is as important now as ever. And what we've been able to do is to provide tens of billions of dollars in cost of living relief already, at the same time as we deliver the first surplus in 15 years with another one in prospect. And we found a revenue neutral way to provide more than $100 billion in tax cuts, but in a way which does a much better job of recognising the pressures that people are confronting in Middle Australia. And so what we've been able to do, and one of the reasons why we're so encouraged by the progress that has been made so far, is we've been able to combine relief and reform. You know, more relief for Middle Australia and a better reform for our economy. And we're seeing some of the